Welcome to Manna at the Tap, a podcast from Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna. It nourishes our souls, fostering spiritual growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. Today is Monday, September the 8th, 2025, in the 13th week after Pentecost during the season of ordinary time. This is a time for us to live an extraordinary disciplined life as we grow spiritually. The lectionary reading is from the New Testament book of First Timothy. It is the first of a series of letters along with Second Timothy and Titus called the pastoral letters. They were written by the Apostle Paul. These letters provide practical and pastoral advice from the aging Apostle Paul to a young and emerging pastor named Timothy, who was working with the church community at Ephesus. Many years earlier, Paul had met Timothy and was immediately impressed by his character and how he was known and respected by others. Paul quickly brought Timothy onto his team, and this allowed him to continue his missionary journey. The Apostle Paul, when he wrote this first letter to Timothy, was in prison in Rome, awaiting his trial before the Roman emperor. Paul was a Jew, but also a Roman citizen. Therefore, he was entitled to appeal his case there in Rome. While he was in prison, though, he learned about the challenges Timothy was facing with the community in Ephesus, and this prompted him to write the first of two encouraging letters to Timothy. The lectionary reading is First Timothy chapter 3, starting at verse 14 and extending into chapter 4, verses 1 to 5. The Apostle Paul's legal hearing has been delayed, and he is now unsure when he will be able to travel to Ephesus to meet with Timothy. Timothy was a young man, and although he had the energy needed to serve the community at Ephesus, some of the older members felt uncomfortable with what they saw as his lack of knowledge and experience in leadership. Paul compared the community to being God's family living in God's house. As a family, they needed to learn how to behave toward each other. The family home was meant to be a place of refuge and encouragement, as well as a place of discipline. It was a web of loving relationships working together as they grew and mature, becoming more like God the Father and Jesus the elder brother. Community life is a mystery, but not in the sense that no one understands it. One can understand it because God has revealed it through Jesus, who quietly and mysteriously brought God's kingdom into the world, not through Rome's power, but in a way that worked silently within God's family, establishing a pattern of humility in this world. Paul advised Timothy to stay focused on God's word because false teachers were infiltrating the community and trying to lead to lead many of them astray with their teaching. Now, some of these false teachings involved not getting married and avoiding certain foods. Paul told Timothy that these were man made rules. What one eats does not make someone more righteous before God. What they needed to do was to eat heartily while giving thanks to God because everything God created is good and should be received with gratitude. It is God's word and our prayers that make every item in creation holy. Paul celebrated Timothy, letting him know he was doing a great job.